We hope you had a great day yesterday. Welcome back. We'll start this morning with a brief conversation between two of our industry's titans, I guess. So by now, I think you all know Andrew Forrest of Fortescue Future Industries. And on the other side of the line, behind stringent COVID regulations, we have Lei Zhang from the founding chairman of Envision, which is a big Chinese conglomerate, global conglomerate, involved in a wide range of ways in renewable energy and green hydrogen. If someone flicks the switch, over to you, Andrew.
Lei Zhang, how are you?
Very good, Andrew. How are you?
Yes, so well, so well. Firstly, thank you for the fantastic work you're doing in leading the China green industry revolution. Those who know you are very proud of you.
Thank you, Andrew, and you.
Lei Zhang, can I ask you just a couple of questions? What are you doing to really get the green hydrogen industry going in China? Tell us a bit about that.
Right. So, Andrew, you know, as Envision lay out the strategy for the new energy revolution, we starting perceive the wind and the solar as the new coal is going to replace the electricity generation by replacing coal. And the next step, we believe the hydrogen, the green hydrogen especially, is going to be the new oil. So it is going to widely use on the transportation, on the upstream steel making, chemical processing. So the green hydrogen is so important for the hard to abate sector decarbonization. So now, once we are able to reduce the electricity cost significantly in the last 10 to 20 years, now it's time for us to large scale producing green hydrogen at a very competitive cost, and also to start the green hydrogen ecosystem, for instance, like green ammonia, for instance, like a synthetic biology using the green ammonia. So it's going to open up a really blue ocean starting from the green hydrogen. It's not going to be only the energy revolution. The green hydrogen is going to kick off the industrial revolution. So that's why green hydrogen is so important. The role is not only on the energy side, it also have the role to play on the industrial side. So that's why Envision, we have the leading technology on the battery, storage, wind turbines, digital solutions. Now we create the Envision net zero gas team and the business. So we are going to produce hydrogen electrolyzer because we know it's the bottleneck. And also we are developing hydrogen processing technology to put it as a solution for our partner, whoever want to producing green hydrogen. And so we are going to develop the downstream business. So now, especially we see because the cost of fossil fuel increase, making the coal-based or oil-based or gas-based ammonia so expensive, which actually making the fertilizer so expensive now. And think about the fertilizer is the source of protein. It's the nitrogen can be absorbed by our body. So green hydrogen is going to be very important force to stabilize the global food price. So that's why I think it's too important for green hydrogen. Thanks.
Okay. Lei Zhang, yesterday Fortescue appointed a eminent Chinese lady to our board of directors, and I've been asked, why do you consider China so important? And I just looked at the person asking me and said, well, it's such a simple answer. China's responsible for 1/3 of the world emissions. They'll soon be the largest economy. The world will not go green without China, but fortunately, there are champions inside China which are really driving the green revolution at a speed which the rest of the world just needs to know about so they can be inspired too. And so we really loved hearing what you're saying. I know you and I are looking together at some really big projects, but tell me about your really big projects. So what are you doing now? What have you got planned?
Right. So the plan is going to release very shortly is a net zero industrial park by leveraging the abundant wind resources and the solar resources, and combined with envisioning digital capability and the storage solution to providing the low cost green electricity in east part of Inner Mongolia, which is only 200 kilometers away from the port. We are going to produce 1 million ton green hydrogen by 2025. So we believe this could be one of the largest and one of the earliest building big project in the green hydrogen history. And we're not only producing green hydrogen, we're going to producing green ammonia. So that's a plan. We think we need such a lighthouse project. Of course, Andrew, we are the partner. We are going to developing this project together and to supply the green hydrogen and green ammonia across the world. So we hope this project could inspire people. Now, green hydrogen is at our hand. It just need courage. It just need this commitment to commercially producing a big quantity. So this project is going to be announced very shortly in a month's time.
Lei Zhang, thank you. All strength to your arm, my friend. Lei Zhang, tell us, you're aware and you've been a big champion of the green hydrogen standard. What is green hydrogen?
I think that the first point is it have to be produced by renewable energy. So I think this is number one. The secondly, which is also very important, the solar panels and the wind turbines should be produced by green electricity at almost little carbon footprint. So I know we have agreed every kilo of green hydrogen is going to consume in the life cycle of the electrolyzer or wind turbines. So the carbon footprint should be less than 1 kilogram carbon. So that's the starting point. But in Vision, we have the commitment to produce the net zero wind turbines and the net zero battery storage and the net zero steel. So that's why we are building the net zero industrial park around the world. So for instance, we have the plan to create a net zero industrial park in Spain. So to leverage solar and wind to produce the battery, raw materials, cathode, anode, and the battery cell, and also producing the green hydrogen, and to stabilize this industrial park energy system. So for the energy transition. So I think that's why the green hydrogen need an important standard, and the net zero industrial park will be a very important part to support such a standard. The number three, I think the point three is going to be, so the ethics. So making green hydrogen also should really pay the extremely important attention to the environment, to the human rights, and to really think about this inclusiveness development for green hydrogen transition. So that's my view. Thanks.
Lei Zhang, I'm sure we'd all agree that was a perfect definition of the green hydrogen standard. And you've just underscored why it's so important, and financing for our projects, Lei Zhang, our joint ventures will immediately apply for the green hydrogen standard, so that bankers and investors and consumers, most importantly, the global public, know that when they consume our hydrogen, they really are helping the planet. Any other color of hydrogen, they're really hurting the planet. So big congratulations on that. Lei Zhang, let me throw it back to you. What questions do you have for me?
Right, so Andrew, so the question I used to ask you in the past, but I haven't got the clear answer. I will take this opportunity to ask you in public to see what do you react. So now you are producing green hydrogen at a big quantity. At the same time, in the past, you are producing the iron ore. So have you think about using your green hydrogen to making the iron ore be the sponge iron, which is from the direct reduction methodologies, and then you don't need ship iron ore. You can just ship sponge iron to the rest of the world, which is going to save lots of emission. Also, at the source, you really have the greatest synergy and reduce lots of carbon emission at the beginning. So it's going to reshape the global steel industry. And a lot of the furnace in Korea, Japan, in China, they don't need a build anymore. And they are not going to produce any, they're going to reduce the majority of emission. So have you made, if I were you, I will make this plan. Have you made such a plan?
Yeah, thank you. What a great question. I love it. Look, Lei Zhang, I'm sorry you're not here, my friend, because you'd have just heard the audience clapping. They really appreciate the question. Lei Zhang, we have a really good plan here. And I know the governance lawyers in the room are going to really be putting their ears up because we're a public company, and answering questions like that are difficult. But if this needs to be a stock exchange release, then so be it. I'll answer your question for all the good people in this great room. We know that we can provide the green hydrogen to our customers, and they can make green steel, green iron, and we can start doing that inside the next 2 or 3 years. We know that when that happens, because we've been demonstrating it, and companies like ThyssenKrupp, who are very close friends of ours, have also proven that if you use 1 kilo of hydrogen, you take out 26 kilos of carbon for every kilo of steel you make. So it is so tremendously more efficient to use a kilo of hydrogen than it is to use coal to make a kilo of steel. And so, yes, we are going to be doing that. Second, there's another process which also makes metallic iron, which even removes the hydrogen from the process. But you do need huge quantities of iron, and you do need huge quantities of electricity, because this process is, it seems almost a little magical. It's a low temperature process, not even as hot as your hottest cup of coffee, and you can make metallic iron. And because it's low temperature, Lei Zhang, it doesn't matter if it's intermittent renewable energy. It's when the sun goes down, because it's not a super hot blast furnace or other metallic iron environment where it's super hot, it does no damage at all. It can just, it can switch off with the sun and switch back on with the wind, all automatic, and make metallic iron to be shipped around the world. And so FFI, Fortescue Metals Group leaders, if any of this is price sensitive, we'll just have to put out a ASX release. But I've answered your question. We will be doing that. It's part of our plan. And I am really encouraged by this plan. I've had a friend of mine who is just a household name as a chief executive. He's like really well known. And he's expressed great interest in just running that part of Fortescue, which is only one of our technologies, but it's a very, very sexy suite of technologies. And he said, look, I'd just like to run that part, because that, as you say, Lei Zhang, could take out 9 to 10% in one stroke of the world's global carbon emissions if we can send the steel industry green. And then all your wind farms, all your electrolyzers, they won't be kilo for kilo, they'll be kilo for nothing. And that's, of course, where eventually we're going to head to, Lei Zhang. So thank you for the very direct question and putting me on the mat.
Thank you. So I'm very pleased to know, because, Andrew, so you are also a very, big source of potential carbon emission from your iron ore. You have the ability, you have the resources to solve from the beginning point. So that's why I ask you. So Andrew, because people are telling me, so you see, Andrew is signing lots of a big MOU across the world. So people is wondering, so when will be your earliest big project? When it's going to be commissioned? So for your lighthouse project. So okay. Could you please share something with us?
Look, I will. There are two parts to your question. We're in a position with the resources we have and the energy we have to start producing within the decade green iron ore, as you've pointed out. And Lei Zhang, we're not going to miss that opportunity. It's why we've invented the technology to make the world's first pollution-free ship in history. We've invented the technology to make the world's first pollution-free train, world's first operating pollution-free megatruck. These are all things which are huge breakthroughs, which will lead to Fortescue fulfilling its objective to be the first major green industrial heavy emitting company by the end of this decade. Secondly, and at the same time, which is why we announced yesterday a greatly increased bench strength of our leadership, because of the scale of the challenge which you're talking about, is we want to share those technologies with the world, and we want to share the fuels which come from those technologies, which are the world's first fully pollution-free fuels, with the rest of the world. And that's why we made big announcements yesterday. We'll continue to make further appointments, which we'll also announce, to really accelerate the bench strength of our leadership to get these challenges done. Now, specifically to your question, we were nominated by the German government because We are obviously Australian. We have a very strong human freedom, democratic attitude in our country, but we were also nominated because we have huge untapped solar and wind and other green energy sources, and that they can rely on us. And we did discuss 15 million tons of green hydrogen, enough to completely offset the amount of gas which they're bringing in from Russia in one agreement. Now, that's a little large for just one customer. So we've agreed 5 million tons with E.ON, one of the biggest energy infrastructure companies in all of Europe, certainly the biggest in Germany, a former government-owned utility, wonderful company, 52, 53 million customers, particularly small and medium-sized enterprises. And they need the first green hydrogen by 24, 25. Now we have projects rapidly advancing in Australia, in Argentina, in North America, and in China with you. So we're with you on that time frame. Let's go 24, 25 fiscal year.
Fantastic, fabulous. So Andrew, then what is the biggest challenge for you to actually stop you even producing such project in a faster pace? So what is preventing not happen even early?
That's a great question. Remind me not to be on the other side of this with you again, Lei Zhang. Lei Zhang, if I was to distill it down to one word, it's courage. It's all too easy to fall for the spin and the greenwashing of the fossil fuel sector if you're a politician, and not take the hard challenges, which you know is the right decisions to push your country green. That takes courage in political leadership, and certainly in the business world. It takes immense courage to pivot your successful business away from that successful business and into also a huge new industry where this has never been done. That we're breaking new ground, where we're crossing a very busy street with a Labrador on a white stick, tapping the road. This is raw courage, and has to be done on great scale. Yet the time is now, Lei Zhang. You can't consider making green hydrogen, and it's never been made as a commercial fuel source, as hydrogen, only really for the chemical industry or for the space industry, because the source of energy is too expensive. That source of energy is fossil fuel. But now we have an incredibly cheap source of energy, the cheapest source of energy the world has ever known, and that's green. And with that, solar and wind, which is now undercutting the cost of all other forms of electricity in history. Now we have that opportunity to make hydrogen not as a chemical, but as a fuel, as a bulk fuel, to take advantage of these mega shifts, these tectonic plate shifts which are happening in the world, including the fact we now have a new source of electricity. It's the cheapest source of electricity, and this can now bring the green hydrogen genie out of the bottle, and so into the world.
How can we make the business world to have more courage? Do you have any idea to share?
Look, I'm not that good at human person-to-person psychology. So to make the business world have more courage, I think what they need, Lei Zhang, is they need political leadership. It's very dangerous territory to go against government policy. And if you've got a government which is heavily subsidizing fossil fuels, and you're trying to bring in a new fuel, and they're not saying, oh, good idea, we'll subsidize you to the equal amount, because they're not going to be worse off. The consumer's not going to double the amount of energy they consume. They're still going to consume the same amount of energy, but what you're doing is you're leveling the playing field so that you put subsidies equal to the subsidies you have on fossil fuel on the renewable fuel. You just make a level playing field, not even an unbalanced playing field, not even helping what the world must need to stop destroying itself, just level. Now, if they're refusing to do that, then you're actually going against the unwritten government policy to kill your industry. And so we need politicians and we need voters to hold them to account to say, actually, we see what you're doing. You're trying to force us to stay with fossil fuels. You're trying to force us to keep global warming going, when in fact, you're just being lazy and not giving the renewable energy sector the same subsidies you're giving the fossil fuel sector. Until government has the courage to at least level the playing field, then we know as entrepreneurs, we're actually going against unwritten, unspoken government policy against us. So I want to call that for what it is. And then secondly, say to the entrepreneurs of the world, those with courage, those with character, those with strength, fortitude, and mostly those with a love for their fellow man, say, push through these barriers. Those politicians will be wrong. They will become the fossil fuel of history as well. Policies will change. The playing field will at least become level. Believe in that and get your projects going now.
Right. I think you're right. We need definitely the policy change, but we also need the entrepreneurship and the role models, the people like you, and really to demonstrate. So I fully believe in this green hydrogen sector. We need the moment of the Tesla moment. We need some company is leading the development, leading the large scale commercialization, and then start to stimulate the entire sectors. And then, which is going to create a strong momentum. So I think definitely the role models, the Lighthouse Project is something we urgently need to act, to take place as soon as possible, as big as possible. Then we're going to change people's and also changing politicians' mindset and wake up the industry. Thanks.
Lei Zhang, all I can say is that you're as lethal an interviewee as you are interviewer. And we're all very proud of you in this huge conference room hall I'm in with a very big audience. They're very grateful for your time, really cheering on your success. Get in, get on, and change the world, Lei Zhang. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you all.